What is up, bros and broettes? I am Inkslasher, and welcome to another episode of Versus. Today, we are going to be looking at one of the best comparisons we have ever had in Versus in Black Ops 3, and it's with a DLC weapon. We're going to be looking at the Peacekeeper MK2 versus the HVK. This is an incredibly good comparison, as you guys are going to see, and I'm really hoping you guys will enjoy it. So if you do, I would love it if you would hit that like button. By the way, guys, I don't know if you knew this, but I also have a second channel where I upload Let's Plays, and also every single Sunday, there's a vlog that goes up. Now, last week, me and my girlfriend went away on a road trip and I uploaded a vlog, so I'll leave a link on the screen right here with an annotation, and you can also click the link in the description and you can check out that vlog if that's something that interests you. But without further ado, let's get into this week's episode of Versus. So what we're comparing this week is two really accurate, lower damage, somewhat faster firing assault rifles, so keep that in mind when we're looking at the stats for these weapons. Another thing too is I'm also going to be throwing some stats in for the ICR with these weapons, just as a reference point as well. So the interesting thing about these two weapons is that they have the exact same damage profile. Up close, you're looking at 30 damage, at mid-range 29, and then it drops off to 22. Now with this, you are looking at a 4 to a 5 bullet kill. And with both of these weapons, not only do they have the same damage profile, they also have the same range profile. So both weapons drop from a 4 to a 5 bullet kill at exactly 50 meters. So with this, there is no points that we can give out for either damage or range. This is what makes these weapons so interesting to compare, because their damage profiles are exactly the same. Not to mention, these are not the only weapons with this damage profile. Also, the FFAR and the ICR have this exact same damage and range profile as well. So since the damage profiles are the exact same, the real important stat is going to be that fire rate. So the fire rate for the Peacekeeper MK2 is 652, whereas for the HVK, we are looking at a 722 fire rate. So obviously this is going to be better for that HVK, so it gets +1 point for that. But not only that, there is also another aspect of the weapons that is going to get much better because of that. Since the damage profile is exactly the same for both weapons, and one of them has a better fire rate, at every single range, the time to kill is going to be better for that HVK. Just the way the time to kill calculation works, if the damage profiles are exactly the same, and the fire rate is better, at every single range, that time to kill is going to be better. This is incredibly important, and because of that, the HVK is going to get another +1 point and extend its lead to 2. So just as a comparison there, you can see the ICR1 has a 600 RPM fire rate, so you can just see how slow that time to kill really is for that ICR1 with its low damage profile, pretty low fire rate. Both of these weapons have a better fire rate than it. Like I said, I'm just adding that in for a little bit of comparison. When we move on and look at the smaller stats, this is where the Peacekeeper starts to catch its stride, and we can see that starting off with the magazine size. So the magazine size for the Peacekeeper is a little bit weird. It's a 32 round magazine, and that's odd for assault rifles. For the most part, assault rifles, you're looking at a 30 round magazine. For instance, the HVK has that 30 round magazine. So it's a little bit better for the Peacekeeper. I'm not going to give out any points for that because it's 2 bullets. It's really not that big of a deal. But something that's odd for the Peacekeeper is the aim down sights movement. So for most assault rifles, while aiming down sights, you move at 40% speed. So pretty damn slow. However, the Peacekeeper MK2, you move at 60% move speed. It's like having a built-in stock attachment, because you're going to be able to move quicker, in fact 20% quicker while aiming down sights than any other assault rifle, including, of course, the HVK. So since you can move 20% faster while aiming down sights for the Peacekeeper, it's like having a built-in stock. That deserves +1 point, and it narrows that lead. We can see this trend continue when we look at the aim down sights time. So the aim down sights time for the HVK is average for the assault rifle class at 0.25 seconds. It's actually pretty decent, especially for an assault rifle. However, the Peacekeeper actually has a faster aim down sights time at 0.225 seconds. So obviously 0.025 seconds faster. It seems like a little number, but you really do notice this when comparing the two weapons. So for that, it's going to get +1 point and tie it up. Remember at the beginning of this video when I said these two weapons make for a fantastic comparison? Well, this continues when we look at other stats other than just the damage and range profiles. If we look at the sprint out time, both of these weapons have the best in class sprint out time at 0.25 seconds. This is just as good as the best of the best SMGs in the game. That sprint out time at 0.25 seconds is incredibly good on assault rifles, and both of these two weapons are the only assault rifles that actually have that. Another stat that we can look that's exactly the same on both weapons is that reload speed. So the reload speed with bullets still in the magazine is 2.03 seconds, and with an empty magazine, 2.8 seconds. weapons. Again, this is pretty much the best in class. The only other one that reloads faster is the MX Grand, but we know how small of a clip that weapon has. So like I said, these weapons are incredibly good comparison. They have lots of stats that are very, very similar. Another one of these stats that's similar on both weapons is the idle sway. They both have pretty damn low idle sway. They actually have the exact same amount, and what that is just the amount your reticle or iron sights are going to move when aiming down sights. It's exactly the same on both weapons. Now that is all the stats that are the same. We have two more to look at that are different for both weapons. So the next thing we can look at is hip spread. Now hip spread for the HVK-30 is 3 inches at a minimum and 5 at a maximum. Now this is the best in class hip spread, and when we look at the Peacekeeper, it has a similar hip spread at 3 inches at a minimum, but at a maximum it's 7 inches, which is much bigger. Now you'll notice this a lot when moving around, when sprinting around, that you're just gonna get more hit markers with that HVK-30 because it has that smaller maximum hip spread. This is actually a pretty big deal, especially with a faster firing weapon when you're gonna get in more and more up close gun battles. That smaller hip spread is a very good stat on it. So for that, it's going to get +1 point and take the lead. So the final stat we have to look at is going to be the controversial one. It is the view kick or the recoil, whatever you want to call it. Now with both of these weapons, there isn't a ton of recoil, if I'm being honest. However, the Peacekeeper Mark II is an absolute laser beam. In fact, I think it has almost the exact same recoil pattern as the ICR, which is considered by most people to just be an absolute laser beam. And I kind of agree with that. This Peacekeeper is so accurate and so easy to handle that recoil, you don't need any sort of attachment to actually help you handle that recoil. Whereas the HVK, there is a bit more recoil. It's a little bit more difficult to handle. So for that, I'm gonna give the Peacekeeper Mark II +1 point, and that ties it up. So that is all. That is it. That is all the points I can give out for these two weapons, but I hate ties. I absolutely despise them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my opinion into what is a better weapon, and then kind of give you a scenario for person to person which weapon is going to be better for you. So first of all, I think the HVK-30 is a better weapon. Simply having a better time to kill at every single range is very, very important. It means if you're an accurate shot and you're able to control that extra recoil on the HVK-30, you're going to do better with it, because at every single range you're going to drop the enemies faster than that Peacekeeper. However, if you have a little bit more trouble with your aim, you struggle aiming, and you tend to use weapons like that ICR-1 a little bit more, then the Peacekeeper may be the weapon for you. Basically, the way to look at it is the HVK is going to drop people a lot faster, whereas the Peacekeeper is easier to handle. It's easier to maneuver with. It's going to be easier to aim with overall. And if you're able to control that little bit more difficulty aiming with that HVK, it's going to be the better weapon. If you can't, and you're the kind of person that likes using the ICR-1, then that's going to be the better weapon. Now, I said I was going to compare these weapons to the ICR-1. The reason why I'm doing this is both of these weapons have a much faster time to kill than the ICR-1. They have the same damage profile, but faster fire rates. And the Peacekeeper has the exact same accuracy as that ICR-1. So if you have the Peacekeeper, there's absolutely no reason to be using that ICR-1, because almost every single stat is going to be better on the Peacekeeper than the ICR-1, and it almost makes the ICR-1 obsolete, because it's going to be the same weapon with a better time to kill at every range. I just find that a little odd and wanted to kind of bring it to light. I think the ICR-1 needs maybe a fire rate buff or something little bit just to help it out, because like I said, there's a supply drop weapon that's currently much better than it in every single aspect. But in my opinion, the winner this week that has the better time to kill at every single range is the HVK-30. However, both of these weapons are definitely very, very good, and this was one of the closest matchups we've ever had in Versus. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, it would be fantastic if you could leave a like rating. If you like what you saw here and you want to see more, it would be fantastic if you could hit that subscribe button. I upload new Call of Duty videos every single day of the week. We have plenty of Versus episodes. We got tons of Easter eggs and tips and tricks if you're interested in Call of Duty stuff. But guys, I hope you enjoyed. You can always check out my second channel, Twitter, or Twitch down in the description. I love every single one of you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, peace out. I just
if you ever need it.